It's a delightful evening. Welcome to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekpo Temple. On today's edition of the show, our focus will be on all the happenings over the weekend in the sporting world. Max Verstappen emerged as the winner of the drivers' championship in Formula One, and so we'll take a look at that particular one. We'll also take a look at what transpired. Tennis season has come to a climax as the Davis Cup was won by Italy. So we'll also look at that one. Not also forgetting that lose in the English Premier League. All this will take your fancy when we come back from this short timer. Please don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it is Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Emmanuel Michael is in the studio. Mike, it's good to have you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, a beautiful evening to you, Temple, and big day to our viewers out there. Always a delightful moment talking sport on Atlantic Television Network.
All right, let's get started with Formula One. The Formula One, of course, looks like it has come to an end with the emergence of Max Verstappen as the winner of this season's drivers' championship. He won that at the Las Vegas after he came fifth. But then a lot of issues transpired. Now you'll be wondering how come he never emerged, he never got the podium finish, but he won, and that's because of the stiff and tense competition between Lando Norris and he himself. But then all that aside, the point margin was what was at stake. He needed to come at least third, or he needed to be in the podium to ensure that he wins, or then Lando Norris don't get close to at least fifth position, which finally happened. And so all these were the statistics going into the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Unfortunately, he emerged as the winner. With all the drama, Mike, that played out, one would think that this season, yes, we have seen a champion, but it was better off than what we saw last season, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, better off than what we saw last season, per se. Looking at the stiff competition so far this season, last season was a total fire down, was a total
one-way traffic
from Max Verstappen. At some point there was as well, but the rancor in-house that they had within the Red Bull authority, at some point the father also was involved, and a whole lot of shenanigans within the Red Bull teams. At some point there was this talk, that was attributed to the father, that if things does not go down well as he expected, maybe he should be advising his son to quit Red Bull at some point where the situation got deteriorated. But somehow maybe they find a way to strike a balance and come to a roundtable discussion. Though there are certain issues under the net that they are still to unfold, but I think for now it has actually calmed down, and that actually halted the fine run of Max Verstappen earlier in the season, where he was able to win about 6 to 7 races on a row. Not until that issue came up where we began to see the likes of McLaren begin to pull the strings and turn the screw. But then he was able to stay strong despite the stiff opposition, despite the trials, the challenges, and all of that. But yeah, at some point itself, we saw the point margin begin to depreciate when Lando Norris was getting close to him. At some point it was 52 points. At some time it was 48 points, but then he was still able to come back very strong in that very one and make it count to win this championship. I think for me he has actually maintained that fine run 4 consecutive in a row. it is not a mean feat, and it takes a special driver like Max Verstappen to be able to pull such weight and to show such a dominance, even amidst all of the trials over the season. There are just 2 races to go right now. The season, you can just say it is almost done and dusted as it is right now, because certainly Max Verstappen and Red Bull will definitely coast home this very one, having won about 6 or 7 races over the season.
Now, another area to look at is, like you said, he started very fine. Okay, one would have expected that with the way he started and with the sprint races, when you win sprint races, you get more points in each of the Grand Prix. One would have expected that, okay, maybe he will have this roller coaster ride, not until, like you said, some of the things that transpired. But will you say we had better drivers this season in terms of aspirations, in terms of what they wanted to achieve for their team McLaren? Or will you attribute the fact that the engine, somehow the regulations from the FIA, also impacted the engine, the engine that did not make them indomitable last season? What would you hold on to say was the reason why we saw this stiff competition from Max Verstappen and other drivers, as compared to last season and this season?
I think it's very simple. It's about the constructors' engine out there. Last season, we did not see some touches or improvement in some of these constructors' car out there. The likes of McLaren, Mercedes, and the rest of Ferrari. We did not see a lot of improvement. But this season, we saw a little bit of rejigging of the engine here and there. Earlier in the season, you listened to Toto Wolff, who is the president of Mercedes, speaking very high. He said that they don't have a chance, they don't even stand a chance against the Red Bull this season. Even before the start of the season, he made it very clear. And he looked as though at mid-season, maybe race 10, 11 thereabout, we saw Mercedes doing 1 or 2 in their engine out there in order to improve the cost of the engine. We also saw Ferrari a little bit of touches in order to refurbish their engine as well. I think these are some of the things that actually bring back that maybe a healthy, or not even totally healthy, but a little bit of rivalry, as it is for this. Then again, you talk about the FIA bid or willingness to adjust some of the rules. For example, last season, Max Verstappen went untouchable, even when driving dangerously, while he's about to swerve or even overtaking. And when he does overtake you, it doesn't allow you come close. Even at the bending end, he tried to use his maneuvering to overshadow you. Even if you get to fall by the wayside, your car get crashed, you won't be punished. But this season, after complaints from different drivers about Max Verstappen driving dangerously, we saw the hammer came against him at some point.
Penalties.
Race, was it race 4 before the end of the season, or 5 or thereabout? We saw penalties, cost of dangerous driving and all of that. So that has also helped to bridge the gap, of when he overtakes you, he doesn't give you that time for you to maneuver and see if you can be able. So these are some of the key things that I think that have made it possible. Then you talk about some of the drivers whose faith is very, very uncertain as it is right now, trying to make a mark for themselves, because the likes of even the Red Bull driver, talking about the second driver, Sergio Perez, who has not been informed so far. This, and I guess, is one of the reasons why it look as though Max Verstappen and Red Bull tried to struggle. That is why the other drivers came close to them, because it was only one man pushing, that was shouldering the burden of Red Bull, which is Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez was nowhere to be found. He found it difficult to make a podium finish. Then we also saw Hamilton, also declaring intention to leave, the Mercedes to Ferrari next season, and he made it very clear that he's going to give his all before he's leaving. So these are some of the factors that have actually propelled some of these drivers to live up to the expectation, despite the fact that their car engine are not up to par with that of Red Bull, but then they are still willing to compete. And when we saw a little bit of touches from some of their engine, we saw them competing on a high level against Max Verstappen and all of that. So these are some of the factors that have actually, made this season look a little bit more competitive compared to what we saw last season, where it was just a one-man horse race.
look more competitive as compared to last season, where it was a one-man, a horse race. And congratulations to Max Verstappen for winning this particular one. He now joins the likes of Alain Prost, Sebastian Vettel as a four-time champion with Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, and Juan Manuel Fangio ahead of him on that list. But with the worst records set by Lewis Hamilton, you know, it's easy to talk about Lewis Hamilton because it's in the midst. He has equaled the record of Michael Schumacher in terms of highest winners of the championship. 6 times, you know, the both of them. So if he wins one more time, and he has what it takes to stay a minute, but somehow you ask yourself, does the effort of Max Verstappen downplays what he has achieved in Formula One?
For this season, you may want to say yes. His effort for this season hasn't been able to point fingers to his past achievement. He talked about winning the championship 6 times, but it is actually 7 times.
7 times, yeah.
You know, but he won it 6 times with Mercedes. You know, I think for me, his effort this season have actually tried to downplay some of the key achievements that he has made for himself, and that is why so many people are also very interested and very eager to see if he can be able to replicate his past glory when he jumps the ship to Ferrari come next season. But I tell you, it has been a very disappointing season for Lewis Hamilton, such a big name, you know, who has won a lot, you know, for Mercedes and for the Formula One itself, struggling, even finding it difficult to finish within the podium. That is how bad his season has. So I think his poor form so far this season is gradually downplaying his achievement of the past.
So let's take a look at the top 10 drivers in the yesterday's last. He navigated the troubles of the Netherlands. He got a 7-6-6-4 win against Calum Crespo in a showdown, and then we also saw Matteo Berrettini did so well in fine fashion to ensure that they won that particular one. So when you look at the activities of tennis, finally the World Cup of Tennis has ended and the season has ended. So what we're going to see from next week now is preparation for the new season, and maybe smaller top ATPs to prepare for the Australian Grand Prix. But let's take a look at all that transpired. 2-0 was enough for the Italians.
Final ATP has to do with the aggregation of the best players across the continent, across the world, and of course, Italian won that very well. Billie Jean Cup, the women category, they also won it, so they are dominating in all spheres, both male and female category. And I tell you, it is a very great time for the Italians in the world of tennis, and they have also equaled the record of winning this very one 6 good times against other countries who have also attained that high. So for me, I think for the man, Yannick Sinner is going to maintain this #1 position for a very long time. That is only if he stays consistent. And the big question is, will he be consistent? I think he left for him. But going from what we were seeing, I think he should be. And if he does, I tell you, it's going to take donkeys of years before we see player, you know, and thinks, oh, he's the next big thing. But in the next game, the person capitulates. It doesn't maintain consistency. And once you are not maintaining consistency, there is no way you can be able to compete with a player that have done everything that he needed to do in order to maintain his steez and steam for a very long time, which is Yannick Sinner. The man, since from the start of the season, a man that have played about 76 games, losing ATP games, losing only 6 out of 76. It tells you
how consistent he's been.
That is the consistency we are talking about. And if you are not even you know, close to winning about 50 games out of 72, how can you catch up with a man that just lost 6 out of 76 games? And that is why I'm saying that it's going to be very difficult unless some of these names that I just rolled out, Carlos Alcaraz, Dani Medvedev, Alexander Zverev, Taylor Fritz, unless they go back to their cocoon and begin to fashion out new, different ideas and new set of skills that can be able to upstage, you know, Yannick Sinner. If not, I tell you, it will be very difficult for any player to stop him.
And some pundits also think that there are sort of players, when they are down psychologically, when you think they should be down psychologically, they rise. Could that be the same the case of Yannick Sinner as regards the doping saga around him? Because the moment that the doping saga came up, why many felt that psychologically that would weigh him down, it energized him, and the guy was just unstoppable. You know, before that time, don't forget, after winning the Australian Grand Prix, after the Australian Open, we saw him diminish a little bit. You know, the French Open was not won by him. The last time he won again was in the US Open. So between those times, there were a little bit of inconsistency, and that was why that record of was not part of Grand Slams, because that's 76 he won. That's 76 he played and won. You know, had those 6, losing those 6 was also that period in time. So anyone he went to, because there are selected ones that he cannot play in all the ATPs. Okay, but the ones that he played, so that's that. So I'm not thinking that news of that doping saga, I'm sure would have also elevated his spirit instead of dampening him, and that's why he got to this level.
It's as simple as that. The man, like I will keep saying, he has what I call monstrous mentality. There are some persons, you know, naturally, if these kind of things occurs, they break down emotionally and psychologically, and it could be very difficult for them to rise again. But amidst all of these, you know, challenges of doping issue, at some point you can also remember that some point we were deducted away from him, and he was even fine. Despite the point deduction, he still maintained his #1 ranking. That is to tell you the large margin of the point that he's using to dominate. So I think the man has proven that indeed, when you know, challenges come, you need to stand tall above your challenges in order for you to stay strong. And that is why we have some of the best animals you talk about in this world. When you mention the likes of rhino, rhino is a certain animal that, despite you know the hardship, the hard weather condition, without water, the rhino can still survive. You know, it takes that endurance spirit for you to overcome such challenges. And I think that Jannik Sinner fall within the strong people that doesn't allow, you know, circumstances to weigh them down physically, psychologically, and emotionally. And that is why he has been able to blaze on.
That is why he's been able to blaze on, and with that now he's helped his country, Italy, to win back-to-back Davis Cup. You know, just a few months ago, they lifted a particular one, and it's been a wonderful year for the Italian government. Even if it's a single, even if it's individual game, I'm just thinking the reaction
to also help to comb their talent and hone it properly, and that is why today they are gaining the momentum that they truly deserve, hosting it and also winning it at home. I mean, he must have been able to put up the necessary structures on ground before, you know, the World Lawn Tennis Federation will actually give you the hosting right to host such massive games. So, I mean, everything is there, and we need to also learn from them. Other countries also need to learn from, not just in the world of tennis, but whatever you feel that this is your own area of strength, do it very well to the best of your knowledge so that you stand that tall. We see the likes of Morocco today doing pretty well in terms of sports.
Almost everything football.
Yes. Not just football. Morocco is doing pretty well.
Now they will be preparing to host. They will be part of the
male and female AFCON.
Yeah. To host for the first time, they will be part of the bar next season, because Rabat will be hosting one of the centers, and that's very interesting. That tells you what they are doing, you know, in diversifying sports and making it a recreation in that area.
Not just a recreation. Because of, you know,
those venues will be paid for.
Exactly. Sport has gone beyond recreational activity where people just come maybe during the Yuletide period to enjoy themselves, you know, have good time with family, exercise and all of that. But no, now it's a money spinning. Now, we just talked about the ATP that was hosted by Italy. Do you know the amount of money that, you know, was recouped just hosting that competition?
Because people pay for ticket fee. I mean, for ticket. At the New York Stadium, defeated Nassau United 2-0, Casino United 2, Remo Stars 0, and 3SC at the Advanced Stadium in Ibadan defeated Bayelsa United. Eyimba and Sunshine Stars have been shifted or postponed. So, Mike, these are some of the encounters. I don't know which of them tackles of fancy. Back to the summit, for me, it doesn't interest me looking at the point margin, because anything can still happen. Was also faltered away from home.
Yeah, I think for Rivers United, good thing they were able to get all 3 points. Though it wasn't an easy one, but I think that's just one goal did the job by Katie. They seems to have, gotten back their winning mentality. But let's hope that they can down anything. They've
I
actually
think they're not in the top 10. I mean, they're 6th position, and
yes,
surprisingly.
and they pick away point, very vital points. Those are some of the results. The only disappointment is about the goal ratio. 9 games played, 14 goals scored. Very disappointing.
Very disappointing. I'm sure we're going to have more developing stories tomorrow when we come for Sports 3, Sports Extraordinary. But we hope that some of this result will be shown on the screen so that our viewers can see this result and closer, to our discussion here. Let's to the La Liga Santander, where results of games were also seen, and I can tell you for sure that Osasuna played play at 2-0 with the Yellow Submarine of Villa Vallecano. 1-0. Leganes lost at home to Real Madrid, and that game Mbappe scored a goal that was very fantastic. Atletico Bilbao also defeated Real Sociedad, and Valencia on Saturday defeated Real Betis 4-2. Atletico Madrid thrashed Alaves at home. They won the Metropolitano 2-1. Girona, surprisingly, are out of the top 6 in the log so far, but they defeated the Espanyol 4-1. Las Palmas lost at home to Real Mallorca 3-2. It ended. Celta Vigo played 2-0 with Barca, very disappointing there. And then on Friday we saw that game between Getafe and Real Valladolid. Mike, these are some of the encounters in the La Liga Santander, and Real Madrid with that one now they have caught Barca's point, and they have a game in hand. I mean, so it looks like the three musketeers continue their battle race: Barca, Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. In that order.
Yeah, more like a 3-horse race right now in that order. Disappointing for Barcelona after they had to hold on till about 82 minutes. But then they capitulated, allowing their opponent to come back into the game, scoring 2 quick-fire goals that ensured that Barcelona did not run away with all 3 points. And for Madrid winning yesterday, it was another icing on the cake to closing the gap on the league leader. Talking about Barca, who has 4-point gap between them and Madrid. But just like you said, Madrid have a game in hand, and it makes the league even more competitive because the way Madrid actually started the season, it was looking like, oh, Barca is going to run away with the league, untouchable. But Barca, they need to stutter somehow after a very fine start from Man City.
They've just lost twice this season.
Yeah.
Madrid have lost just once and drew a lot of games. So, but it looks like Madrid have a very poor form as compared to Barca.
Yeah.
But Barca have lost twice, and that's 6 points. So when you compare and contrast, and but that's a little. We'll talk about that later. Let's move on now and let's talk about what's happening in Syria quickly, Mike. It looks like the decision by Antonio Conte to get hold of Lukaku is paying, because somehow Lukaku looks like the man who eyes the cake. When all hopes are down, he has a way of scoring goals, and that gets them back to the title race. So yes, we have a lot of contenders: Atletico, Inter Milan, Atlanta, Napoli. Mention them, But Conte is very consistent when it comes to holding on to his player. The guy who partnered with Victor Osimhen the other time, I've forgotten his name. Okay, but he's doing so well. I mean, the partnership with him and Lukaku too, getting more goals for the side. So it looks like that decision of keeping Lukaku is just a good one for his side.
Yeah, before Antonio Conte insists that he needs a very particular striker, there is a certain quality that actually suits with his own formation and tactics, and that is why, during his time at Chelsea, he deployed a diamond formation when he was using our own Victor Moses then as a right wing back. You go front and cover up as quick as possible. Diego Costa was there, another stubborn striker, very energetic. He loves strikers
very
that
energetic.
hold on onto the ball and bring others into play, and that is what Lukaku represents. He has this very bulky body, very energetic. He holds on to the ball and call other players to play, and that is why they have made a difference. If you take a look at last season for Napoli, it was a very disappointing season, one of the worst title defense after winning the Scudetto, they could not defend it successfully. They finished with a 9th position, which was very disappointing. Nobody gave them a chance to even be competing for the league this season. But once they employed Antonio Conte, the man has come with a magic finger trying to change things. So for Lukaku, bringing him in, I think he has seen this quality in him, and that is why he had to let Victor Osimhen go.
And lastly, Michael, let's just wrap up with the English Premier League. I'm sure we're going to have more time to look at it tomorrow. First game in charge for Ruben Amorim. Got a draw against Ipswich, and a lot of people are just thinking that, okay, maybe the man has a lot, but he said that the players were thinking too much. And that phrase, thinking too much, reminds me of Pep Guardiola. Whenever he wants to achieve something great, he will say he's thinking too much. And I'm just trying to balance the boat. But this time around, a man just started, so he's welcome to the English Premier League.
Yeah, he's welcome to the English Premier League, though not a total disappointment for a man that have not tested in the English Premier League before, coming for the first time. With just a short period of time for the players to come back after international break, but then he was still able to get a point, not a totally disappointing one. I think we are looking at more about the philosophy, the pattern of play more than the result, because it was in the media dishing out some of those buzzwords out there, trying to make people feel at home, and Manchester United fans, especially across the globe, telling them it's come to change the narrative, new this, new that, trying new things, taking Rashford from the left wing to the central striking role and all of that. So for me, I think it's just time. We need to give him time. Maybe play game 5, game 6, 7 and 10, then he can be in a better position to start judging his performance so far.
All right, that will be all this evening on Sports Extraordinary. Many thanks to you for being part of the ride. And of course, we cannot but talk about Pep before we leave. And for Pep, it looks like he said it. I love what he said. I love the fact that he reacts very lovely, when it comes to post-match conference. And he said that he knew that at some point they would drop, but what he cannot tell, or what he never saw, was the fact that they are now losing back-to-back games. So I love his frankness and the fact that he's very real.
Yeah, but of course the man have also made another very emphatic statement that they are still very much in, that nothing is done and dusted.
But you agree now, after March 13, you cannot say that they're not in.
Yeah, of course. If you take a look at the
8-point difference. You cannot guarantee that Liverpool will not lose games.
Exactly, and that is what I'm saying. He said that he also made it very clear yesterday that